Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia, and it is time for Friday Reads on December 6th. Hope you've been having a good week. Let's get started first with a perusal of today's holiday attire. If you are new, I have brought out my mostly thrifted holiday attire that I used to wear as a school librarian, and now I am regaling you with it on BookTube. So this one's pretty normal. Crouched down into the camera. Nothing too strange here. I could wear this out and about. Nobody would think I was too weird. But if a party suddenly pops up, voila, or voila, as my students used to say, we have this beautiful sequined garment. Getting my $3 worth of fun out of this. There's not a sequin missing on this. Who in the world donated this fabulous item? I pity the fool. Enough of the silliness. Let's get down to business. The first thing I want to do is to come back to something I talked about last time. My last video was a book haul, and one of the items was a copy of Lonesome Dove, which was a gift from the wonderful Marcia Johansson. And Marcia included this beautiful card. And then she put in the comments a little bit more information about the card and the artist, and I want to share it with you in case you did not see the comment. It's a thick kind of cardstock card on a really nice smooth paper, and it's a double-sided piece of art. There's some embedded text from Giovanni's room on this one. The artist's name is Carolyn Castagna, and she has a BookTube channel called Carolyn Marie Reads, and she also has an Etsy shop of the same name, and I will link those in the description box. In that Etsy shop, there are more cards by other writers, and they're displayed. Some of them are shown in frames, so you can kind of get an idea that that's another way that you could use the card as a piece of art that you hang on your wall. I like it as a bookmark because I like the option to look at both sides. So I love the one that I received, this James Baldwin card, to remind me I need to read Giovanni's Room again, and some more works by James Baldwin, an author that I really admire. Thank you again to Marcia, and everybody go check out Carolyn's channel and Etsy shop. Great bookish gift idea as well. So let's talk about the viewing for a second. This week in viewing, we are watching Bath Sisters. I don't know how many episodes are left. This year is even better than the first year. The first year was kind of all about all these different ways that this group of sisters, these Irish sisters, try and fail to get rid of the abusive husband of one of the sisters. It's very dark humor, serious themes, but a lot of just really almost even macabre sometimes. In the second year, I think it's even better because there's more mystery, there's more suspense. It's not entirely clear who all the villains might be and what exactly is going to happen. So I'm really enjoying that. There's also, I think, only one episode left of Somebody Somewhere, and it's the end of the series, and as far as we know. And I just love that series so much. It's really, really emotional, though. It's all the feels. I love Joel and Sam's friendship in that show. It's just so good. And then we started watching some Christmas specials, and last night we watched the PeeWee Herman Christmas special from 1988, and somehow I think I did not watch this back in the day, even though I used to watch Pee-wee's Playhouse and the movies. And I used to actually have to set an alarm clock to be able to get up and watch a 10 o'clock in the morning Saturday show. Anyway, so we watched it, and I know it wasn't really that great of a special. It was a little bit long, a little drawn out, but the guest stars, it was a really bizarre compilation of celebrity guest stars. It was more like a 70s sort of a special with just this mishmash of all kinds of people popping up. And I'm going to boil the whole thing down for you and just put the best two clips that I think I can find on YouTube down in the description box. The best two guest stars were Grace Jones singing Little Drummer Boy, and then Cher also shows up, and she doesn't sing, but she shows up, and she does scream though. So I'll include that for you as well. So it was nostalgic, it was funny, but then it needed to be about 15 minutes shorter than it was, I think. And so we now move right into the books portion of the video, which is what it's all about, right? All right, the first book is an ongoing buddy read. I have finished the book. We're in the last few days of discussing Time of the Flies by Claudia Pineiro in our Pineiro group that is reading her books that have been translated into English. And so I still will reserve my closing remarks because we're still in the middle of the discussion, but it has been a book that is really rich for a lot of interesting conversation. Also, I'm in a small group reading Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by Edward Albee, a play from 1962 that I am reading with Michael Clark and Joe O'Malley of Too Tight Lautrec fame on BookTube. And also, we're right in the midst. We still have a lot of things to talk about, so I won't say too much about this. If you're not familiar with this play, or you've heard this play but you're not sure what it's about, there are 4 characters on stage. There is a middle-aged couple named George and Martha. George is a history professor. Martha is his wife. She's also the daughter of the university president. And then there's Nick and Honey, a younger couple. And Nick is a recent hire who is a biology professor. And the entire play takes place after a faculty party. It's late at night. It's 2 a.m. George and Martha get home from this party, and Martha reveals that she invited this younger couple over for some cocktails at 2 a.m. George isn't that thrilled. Nick and Honey show up, and lots of drinking and verbal warfare ensue. That's all I'm going to say for now, but I will wrap it up after our group has also finished talking about it. All right, so then in the aftermath of reading Time of the Flies, a number of us, it's not a group read, it's just a number of us chose to individually reread or read Medea by Euripides. It is a very short play. In fact, there's 4 plays and an introduction in this slim book, so it's really quite short. It is a quintessential tale of revenge. To greatly condense it, this play was written in 431 BC. In the voice of Medea and the voice of a women's chorus in this play, there are thoughts and emotions about the role and experiences of women that resonate all the way up to today. It's strikingly feminist at times. It's also devastating and horrific, definitely. And in this play, we meet Medea. To avoid spoilers, has made some enormous sacrifices and committed some serious deeds on behalf of her husband Jason, who she believed was her trusty husband, partner, lover. They have 2 sons. They now live in Corinth, which is not their native land. And at the opening of this play, we do get a rundown of all the things that happened with Medea and Jason before the time of the play. But Jason has announced that he is going to take a new, younger wife, ingratiate himself with the king by marrying a princess. And Medea is humiliated and furious, and she has been exiled with their sons for her angry outbursts and just because she's pretty inconvenient. Basically, Jason's attitude is, well, thanks for all the good times. I know you're going to do a great job with the kids. I can't wait to see how they turn out when they're older. Don't worry, I'm going to give you some money and bye-bye. So this does not sit well with Medea, to put it very mildly. And that's all I'm going to say. But it is not for the faint of heart. But I really enjoyed reading this in light of Time of the Flies and some of the recurring themes and structures that Pineiro tapped into from this classic play. I'm also continuing to read There is a Real Grande in Heaven by Ruben Reyes Jr. These are speculative fiction stories that all feature Salvadoran immigrants in the United States. There are also queer main characters in most of the stories as well. And I think I'm about halfway through. I haven't been reading this in a real dedicated fashion. I've been picking it up and reading a short story every day or so. kind of spacing them out, but I am enjoying this collection. Did I say it's a debut? Really some interesting work going on in here. We're looking at immigrant experiences, racism, homophobia, xenophobia, and also speculative elements like AI and robotics and cyborgs. And there's one story, oh, it's called Try Again. There's a technology where someone who is dying, you can take a portion of their brain tissue and it is manipulated and grown, and you get a little person, you get a little like miniature person. And I started thinking about the scary doll from Trilogy of Terror. But there's a little person who eventually the natural material and the robotic material sort of synthesize, and the character gains language and starts to gain the personality. And so you have kind of a artificial intelligence reincarnation of your loved one. And this man does this with his father, who was a difficult and unkind person who did not accept his son when he came out. But he thinks maybe by building the relationship from this point and being more in control of it, that they can have a different kind of relationship. That's all I'm going to say about that. It is so strange. There's another story that I've read that also has to do with the fusing of biology and robotics, and then bringing in slavery as well. And that one did remind me quite a bit of, well, it reminded me of two stories. It reminded me of the Simplica Girl Diaries by George Saunders, and it also reminded me of Clara and the Sun. One in plot elements and one in theme elements. But it's very interesting so far, and I'll have more thoughts when I get to the end and kind of a roundup. So last night I started reading Walk Two Moons by Sharon Creech. This is a reread. I'm reading this with Michael. We have been traipsing through old favorites from some of them all the way back to our childhoods, but a lot of them from our former jobs as children's librarians. And this is one of those. This book was published in the 90s. Let's see, 1994. It did win the Newbery Medal. And I've only just started. I'm cheating. It was supposed to be a book to start this weekend, but I wanted to get the jump on it because I'm going to be going out of town. I'll get to that story in just a minute. This is about Salamanca Tree Hiddle, a 13-year-old girl who is on a cross-country journey with her eccentric grandparents, and she's telling them, well, here's what we got. It's one of those stories with multiple layers and time periods. So we know that Salamanca is a girl. On her mother's side of the family, she has Native American heritage. And at the beginning of the story, we know that she has moved from the town she grew up with in Kentucky with her father, and she's making new friends, going to a new school in Ohio. And we know that she is missing her mother, who is not present. This is one part of the story. She's telling her grandparents some stories on this car trip from that time period, and some mysteries that sort of unfurled. And then they're on this car trip, and there's a lot of undisclosed things that are going to come out gradually. And there's some kooky, funny parts, but you can feel some emotional heft underneath. That's all I'm going to say so far, because it just started and we haven't even gotten into the discussion really. I do recall that this book has been challenged and maybe banned, and I can't remember why, and I don't want to look it up because I don't remember exactly what happens in the plot. I have a vague memory of it, but I don't want to spoil the details that I'm enjoying for the second time. So after I finish reading it, I'll look up the history of the banning and I will throw that into the final discussion. So what's coming up? So this weekend I'm going to focus on Walk Two Moons and probably reading some more of those short stories. And then I have a trip coming up, and the trip is going to be from Tuesday to Saturday. It's not really a happy trip. I'm going to visit my mom and my stepfather, which I do every few months, and I am happy to go and visit them. But if you have been around on the channel for a while, you know that I have spoken before of the fact that my mother is living with dementia, and things have It's a disease that can progress slowly or quickly, or also both. You can be at one level for a long time and then all of a sudden uh, things progress. And that's kind of where we're at. And so the purpose of this trip, besides just checking in and visiting, is to evaluate some memory care options where they live, because it's time to get some professional help, make some changes. It's too much for my stepfather to just do all on his own. So I'll be there checking out some things, and my brother's going to come in one of the days. And anyway, we have a bunch of stuff that we need to accomplish in a short amount of time, and kind of line up some plans for the near future. So that's the scenario. Of course, this has been a pretty rough year on the elderly parents and the dementia front, because my mother-in-law, of course, passed away in the summer, who also had dementia, and it's just kind of been a rough year with our older parents, trying to help them and navigate through some of these situations. So that's what that trip is about. When I'm there, I don't have a lot of free time for reading, but I will have time on the airplane going and coming back. So I'm going to take Thursday Night Widows, which is our next book in the Pineiro Project. And we have a schedule for this one, what to finish by certain days, and what we will discuss. And so I'm going to follow my schedule and get to reading this book. And I might take this as well, my nonfiction selection for December, which is a reread, This Boy's Life by Tobias Wolff. I'm going to go to the bookstore today, and I'm not buying any books. I'm buying, well, not for me, I'm buying gifts, and I might look at the magazines. I used to read magazines on airplanes really heavily. I used to love magazines, and they've kind of died out. I've talked about this before, but I may or may not throw in a magazine into my bag, but I think this is probably going to be plenty, but I might just take this. I like to have a backup or an alternative, so I might take them both and just see how far I get. And so then when I return, I can continue with these and delve into some other books on my cart. I don't like to take library books with me on trips, so if I don't finish, I think I'll probably finish this before the trip, but if I don't, I'll take a breather and come back to it. I'll reevaluate where I'm at in my reading month when I get back, which will be, I don't know, Saturday night, I think. Saturday night. So therefore, on the video front, there will not be a regular Tuesday, Friday video pattern for next week. I'm going to try to film a video this weekend and that I will put out on Wednesday, kind of like how I did for Thanksgiving week. And that's going to be a video about my reading project for 2025, reading plays. I've created a Discord. I want to share the details and give you a little preview about that reading project and invite people to join if they think they would be interested. So that's coming up. And then when I get back, I'll do a wrap up. I might do it on Sunday again like I did during Thanksgiving week. For the second half of December, I have a lot of things in mind. There are some tags. I want to do at least one or two of those. I have some wrap up videos about different best of the year scenarios. More ideas than time, really. That's what's coming up next. What have you been reading this week that you really enjoyed? Let me know down below. Any thoughts on these books or other ones on the horizon that you want to talk about? And I hope that you have a great weekend. I'm super excited that it's cool today. I ran out and put on this long sleeve shirt because it's only going to be 60 degrees today. And you got to grab them when they happen here in the coastal bend, because the long range forecast is up and down and all over the place. So I'm going to enjoy a little cozy vibe today. I will be back with that announcement video next week. Take care.